I have no idea if this is going to turn out to be a good idea or not, being outside. But we're going to give it a go. Hi. Welcome to 90% Knitting. This is episode 282, the first alfresco episode of the year. I'm Lisa, also known as Fiber Nymph, and I will put my screen in here so you know how to contact me and where to find me on the internet. Okay, so I decided that it's high time that I get to record an episode outside this year. We had a couple of really nice days recently. Matter of fact, Monday was beautiful, and I did a lot of work outside Monday. I worked inside, like work, and then I spent some time outside because it was gorgeous. I even got like sunburn and everything, which I always feel a little bit healthy when I have a sunburn. I know that sounds ridiculous, but anyway. Today is obviously not one of those super beautiful days. It's overcast. I don't think it's gonna rain. It's not supposed to rain, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. And if you suddenly see the podcast cut off and then see me reappear in a new location, you'll know it's because it started to rain and I needed to make a mad dash for the house. But anyway, we are on our back deck, and I have recorded out here before. It's nice. Actually, I had thought about doing a little bit of a recording the other day. It was beautiful. It might have been Monday, but then our next door neighbor started mowing the lawn, and that would not have been nice. But it's more isolated from the road noise that we get out front. However, the birds are chirping like crazy, and I specifically set the camera up like this so that you could see our bird feeder. This is the one that I'm often looking at from the porch room, which is right there. And it's the one right now that pretty much all of the birds are going to, A, because it's full. Actually, that's probably the only reason. We'll stop at A. But we have had so many birds. Last time I told you that we had an indigo bunting, and the indigo bunting has been back. And one day he brought a lady friend with him, so there were two buntings. The female is not nearly as bright. I had a hairy woodpecker out here one day. Actually, I think that was the same day as the indigo bunting. We have bigger woodpeckers. I can't remember which ones they are, but a pileated woodpecker, I think. We don't usually have those on this feeder, though. What else have we had? Yesterday, goldfinches. They were the first goldfinches I saw at the feeder this year too. So that was exciting, and it was a male and a female. It's just been amazing. And then there's the squirrel who has also been out here, but that's okay. So anyway, I just thought I would record out here because even though the bird feeder's like right there and I'm here, they don't seem to be too shy. Like when I sit out here, I still see birds come to the feeder. So, you won't see cats in the background on the deck here because they can't really access the deck, although you might see one in the yard, who knows. But you might see birds, so we'll just keep an eye on that, and you can watch birds flutter, who knows. Or maybe none will show up at all. Whatever. Yeah, it is a little chilly though, which is why I am layered. I'm wearing my Nantucket Red, which is a Thea Coleman pattern. I knit this out of silky wool, Elspeth of Old Silky Wool, years ago. This has been a favorite sweater of mine for a long time. But it's just breezy enough, as you can tell from my hair, that I need a little bit more than this. Matter of fact, I had to go inside. I had flip-flops on. I had to go inside and put wool socks on and slippers because I'm wearing like capri-length sweatpants. And it's a lovely look, let me tell you. But this is my bias knit wrap that I made a couple years ago. So it usually sits on the back of my chair, and there I just pulled it out. So I have a little extra warmth, though. We're going to go with it, though, because I'm ready to be outside this year. That's all there is to it. So we're going to record out here today and see how it goes. All right. Gosh, sorry. I've already got fuzzy stuff on me. Let's see. Today, my show notes are over here, which is why I'm looking over here. I've got some knitting for you, some spinning, talk about the knit along a little bit. I've got some new things to show you. There will be some recap of the show that I vended last weekend, probably scattered all throughout the episode, quite frankly. Then there'll be some 10% and some shop news, including a really cool drawing I've got for you, but that won't be until the shop news segment. So if you're interested in that, and it's related to Needles Up Rhinebeck that's coming up in October, so you might want to stick around for that if you're interested in Needles Up. That will happen the day before Rhinebeck. All right. And just as an introduction to what I meant about the show recap, I vended at the Waynesburg Sheep and Fiber Festival here in southwestern PA this past weekend, which was fun. It's a small show. It's held at the Greene County Fairgrounds. There's only 2 buildings of vendors, plus some outside vendors, but they're the ones who are associated with sheep also. But it's wonderful. It's lovely. I would say it's quaint. It's just, I enjoy that show a lot. And it was a good 2 days. It was low key. Like, there was people all through pretty much the whole time, but there was never like a huge mad rush where you felt like you couldn't catch your breath. It was just a really nice pace. I got to spend the downtime that there was, chatting with fellow vendors and just sitting and knitting. So that was lovely. And thank you to any of you who came through, who said you watched the podcast. It's always nice to meet you guys in person. So I appreciate that. Yeah. So anyway, that's what I'm referring to if I talk about the show. But now let's get into the knitting, shall we? Oh, poo. I didn't bring out... Well, that's all right. Doesn't matter. We're going to go with what I have here because I've got a whole chair full of stuff. And I realized after I sat down that the chair I'm on, I think that was a hummingbird. There has been at least one hummingbird around here that buzzed me in the driveway the other day. And I thought it was a bee, so I swatted at it. And it wasn't. It was a hummingbird. And he backed off. And he's like, hey, dude. And he was out here the other day. And we don't have, like, hummingbird food. Ooh, there's birds, though. Look at them. Oh. Sparrows, and the one was I'm not going to sit here and tell you what all the birds are, I promise, but that was a tufted titmouse, the gray one with the little thing on his head. Okay, I got to stop looking at the birds. I'm enjoying them way too much, though. Let's show you a hoe. I don't have any finished objects, but I do have a half-finished object, and this is the sock blank sock that I have been knitting at shows. Actually, no, this was the first show that I knit on this one, because I had finished my other one after the last show. I started this one, but then I knit a whole bunch on it even before the show. So I was on the foot part for the show, and I basically finished it on Saturday. By the end of the day on Saturday, it was done. So this is just one of my happenstance sock blanks with sparkle. I don't know if you can see the sparkle or not. Maybe you can catch a glimpse of it. Yeah, maybe not so much. But anyway, trust me, it has sparkle in it. And I did the top part of it in 3x1 rib, which has been a thing for me lately. I've been talking about that. And then I decided to do the foot into stockinette so that people could see how the sock blank knits up and looks a little bit different between ribbing and stockinette, which it does look very different. I sort of prefer it how it looks in the ribbing than the stockinette for this particular one, but it's fine. I did a regular heel flap and gusset on it. Yeah, and I love it. And do I think I have the sock blank. I did start the second sock as well. So here's the sock blank. This is what it looked like. And here's the second sock that is started. But it was really fun to just be able to show people, like, here's what the blank looked like. Here's what the sock turned out to be. And back when I first started this, and I think I posted a picture of it on Instagram, somebody had made the comment about, ooh, I can't wait to see how those pops of blue show up in the sock. And it was fun because in the ribbing you definitely saw them, but they were quite small, and so by the time I got down here onto the heel and the foot, you were getting bigger stretches of them. So I think they are a lot of fun to see. I just love the way sock blanks knit up. It's just such a surprise, and it's a lot of fun. And I dropped my bag, so hang on a minute, I have to go down here. Okay, I'm back. Yeah, they're just fun. And it's nice to be able to show people how they work up, and it's so funny to me that people look at them and think I'm selling scarves, because a lot of people just don't know what you do with sock blanks. So Anyway, that is my half-finished object. I'm knitting that on 64 stitches, US ones. So, okay. Then I have some works in progress. Another sock, which you saw part of this last week. I actually don't even know how much I've done on this. This has basically been sitting on our dining room table, and I work on it at meals sometimes. So this is the second Pool Noodles sock that I'm doing. And Pool Noodles is the exclusive colorway that I'm dyeing up for the Down Cellar Studio splash pad party this summer. Here is the first sock. Not on a blank, or not on a blocker, so... And I'm not going to fuss around with putting it on the blocker, but you get the idea. Really fun, bright pool noodle colors. Each stripe is speckled with all of those colors as well, so you get a fun, bright, tweedy look to it. And this colorway is still on sale. It's up for pre-order in the shop through the end of May, so if you're still on the fence about it, you have about another week or so that you can grab some. Yeah, nothing really exciting to report about that other than that I did make a little bit more progress on it, so you'll have that. Let's see, what else? Oh, my hand-spun Hansel. I did take this with me to work on at the show as well because I knew this would be like mindless and don't have to think too much about it. I'm still on that center diamond. So this is the Hansel Hap by Gudrun Johnston. I'm doing the full version, the full-size version, and I'm making it out of my own hand spun. So, that cloud looks like it's getting darker. Fingers crossed we don't have to make a mad dash into the house. Anyway, this is some, oh crud, Shetland Romney, sorry I had to look at my notes, that I spun up a couple of years ago. So that is what I'm using for this center part, and I'm not, it's a very big center part. I can't remember what my stitch count was the last time I counted, but I still have a ways to go. So anyway, it's fine. I'm enjoying it, and like I said, it's just garter stitch. It's very mindless, but I love working on it because it's my hand spun, and I love knitting with my hand spun. I am using US 8s. And it smells sheepy. It's just, it's wonderful. So, anyway, yeah. And kind of full circle, this was the Shetland Romney that I bought, that I'm using, that I spun for this. I actually purchased at Waynesburg several years ago. So it was fun to have it back there and kind of working on it back at its home. So, okay. We're just buzzing through these projects. Sorry if I'm missing information I should be telling you. Okay, next up is my cardigan that I showed you that I started last week. And that's the Campfire Cardi by Alicia Plummer. That I'm also knitting out of the same yarn, the Elsbeth of Old Silky Wool, except I'm doing it in this lovely berryish pink color. Magenta, I guess, I don't know. It's a little bigger than it was last time you saw it. I'm finding it takes me a while, and I'm not sure if it's these needles or not. It's something about the silky wool. I've never found the best needles to work on this with, because it seems to want to just sort of, I mean, it's right now it slides, but when I was working on it, I did work on this at the show a little bit too, and I don't know if it's because it was very warm and quite humid there. It just wanted to sort of stick to the needles, and so did the Hap actually. Yeah, I don't know, but this is sort of slow. It's just, it's got, well, it's a wool, silk, and modal blend. Is it modal or nylon? I don't remember. I think it's the modal. No, maybe that's the hempathy I'm thinking of, which I have not cast anything on. Do I have, I don't have it in here. Wool, silk, I think there's nylon. I don't remember. Whatever there is in here, there's something that just makes it, probably the silk, not have as much give as just straight wool does. And so it's not rough, but it just definitely has a different texture to it than I'm used to knitting with. And so I tend to knit it slower, basically. It's not unpleasant, it's just slower for me. So anyway, it's coming along, but like I said, I'm you know, it's not that much bigger than you saw it last time. And frankly, I still have, I think it's about halfway, maybe a little over halfway, before I will be done with the upper part, the bodice. Bodice? Yeah, whatever. So that's coming along. I can't tell if I'm feeling rain. I might be imagining rain now. I did cast on a new project. And this one was actually one of the patterns that I've had in my my pattern pool folder. Remember that I put together all those patterns I wanted to draw from and, you know, work on some of them this year for my 2008 pool of patterns. This was in there, and it was one that was just sort of a whim because it's a brioche project, and I won't say I've been refusing to jump on the brioche wagon, but I've resisted it mightily. I don't know why. I mean, part of it is just a stubbornness on my part that, like, when something becomes super, super popular, I kind of want to avoid it until the popularity dies down a little bit. Just dropped the paper. And part of it was just that I had the impression it was going to be really difficult to figure out, and I just didn't want to be bothered having to use brain power. But for whatever reason, I decided I wanted to give it a try. So it's called the Ataluma Scarf. There's the picture of it. I don't know how much you can really see. I don't want to show you anything else because there's directions on that page too. It is by Shara Lambeth, and it is brioche. It's a pattern where it grows. It starts at the tip and then it grows out and it just gets bigger. So basically you can just keep doing it as long as you want to get it as big as you want it to be. So it's an asymmetrical item once it's finished. I started this before last weekend. I did not take this to the show to work on. That would have been ridiculous because I do have to think about it. Before I started it, I did read the directions she has in here. It's written out very well. It's a very simple format. It's not a highly formatted pattern, I guess is what I want to say, but it doesn't really need to be. It's just what you need to know and written out clearly. I will say that. The abbreviations explain what you're doing to do the brioche stitches. And they are not that difficult. So I read them, and I thought I understood them. But then I did go on YouTube and YouTube looked for brioche knitting, two-color brioche knitting, because this is a two-color pattern. And I found the Very Pink Knits tutorial, which her tutorials are always very good. So there were other tutorials, lots of them, but I chose hers and I watched hers and I thought, okay. And actually her tutorial, I don't remember if hers was for one color and two color. I don't remember now. But it showed how to do the two color. It seemed very clear to me, and so I just dove in and started the project, and I am having so much fun. I am shocked at how much I am enjoying this. Okay, bird flew over me. I chose to, I told you, remember that cowl that I was going to do with all the different stitch patterns, just using a lot of scrap yarn? I didn't like how it was turning out. You know, I had started it, I didn't like where it was going, so I did rip that out. But I'm using a lot of those yarns. So here is my, you can't really see. It's a bag full of yarns that go from basically dark, like sea-colored blues, up through greens, up through greenish yellows, up to yellows, golds, kind of. Those are the colors I'm choosing to use for this. And I just pulled two out that had a lot of contrast, and that's what I started with. And this is what I've got so far. Not very far, but it's a surprising number of rows because you're working each row twice, because you have to do it once with the first color, then with the second color. But look at it. Isn't it cool? Oh my gosh. And here's the reverse side. So you see both colors on both sides, which I know you guys already know this because the whole world has been doing brioche except me. I like this side the best though. This is just so cool. I have one row that I'm pretty sure I made some sort of a goof in down here. It's not super obvious, but I can see it, and maybe you can see it too. I don't know. Anyway, I did probably about up to here last week, and then I had the show, so I had to sit it down. And then when I got back to it on Monday, I thought, oh, I know what I'm doing. Okay, yeah, it is now raining. Hang on. Okay, so there we go. Inside. Yeah, it was starting to sprinkle, and I thought, oh, I don't know that I want to risk this, so. Anyway. We're in here now. But I hope you enjoyed the birds in the background while we were out there, and hopefully you could hear well. That's always my concern, that sound won't be as great. And since I never recorded with my phone outside before either, so we'll see. I may end up having to just redo this whole podcast. I hope not, because I don't have time. Anyway, and yeah, I'm using my monster mug again this week. It actually does get washed. I feel like I've had this mug out the last few times I've recorded since I've gotten it, but Bill knows that I really like my monster mug, and so if it's clean and he's the one getting the mugs out in the morning, it's the one he gets out for me. He loves me. I actually did buy a new mug this past weekend at Waynesburg, but it's actually in the dishwasher, so. Alright, where was I? I was talking about the Ataluma. So, I don't remember where I was now. Just that I'm really enjoying the brioche. I didn't ever think I would really enjoy it. And you know what? The thing is, it is not anywhere near as complicated as I thought it was going to be. I do have to think about it. Like, this is not something I can work on if I'm watching a podcast or talking to someone. Like, I can't sit at the dinner table or breakfast table and work on this while I'm talking to my husband. It has to be quiet, and I have to just be focusing on this. I think I started to say that when I came back to it on Monday after I'd been away from it a couple of days, I guess I was a little overconfident. And I started and I was doing it, and I got a couple rows in and I realized something looks weird. And indeed, I had not read the directions correctly. And so I had my first experience of having to tink back a couple of rows in brioche. That's interesting. It does take a little time and effort. And I can see where maybe having a lifeline in if you're doing a bigger project might be a good idea. But it was not so horrible that I wasn't able to do it. And it's fine, I recovered. And like I said, I have one row that I can see now was probably an error earlier on. But again, not so much that I feel like, oh, I have to rip this out. Because this is really a learning project for me. I just wanted to learn how to do the two-color brioche. And it's letting me use up these scraps because I have another shawl that has some brioche in it that I really want to do. And honestly, now that I'm learning brioche and I'm realizing it's not as big and scary as I originally thought it would be, it may open up the whole brioche world to me in even more ways, because there is another pattern, not the one that I'm thinking of. I can't remember the name of the one that I want to do. That one's just 2 yarns. But the one that, the Oracle shawl that Kristen from Wool and Vine from, oh goodness, okay. Yarngasm podcast. Wool and Vine is her yarn company, sorry. She designed a shawl with brioche in it. It's a pie shawl with brioche last year. And I thought that was beautiful. I saw so many versions of that I just thought were stunning, that every time I saw one, I'm like, I really want to make that. And then I'm like, but it has brioche in it. I'm not going to do that. So now that I know how to do brioche, I may someday do that shawl. Even though it's a pie shawl, and me and pie shawls don't tend to get along, but we'll see. It's a possibility now. The door is a little wider. Alright, that's all of the knitting that I did. I have some future, I don't know if you'd call it knitting or modifying or what, that I'm thinking about, I want to do. So this is a project that I did a couple years ago, and you may recognize it. It's my wedding skirt. Remember my wedding skirt? Yep. So I made this in 2016 for my wedding, because that's when we got married. And I made this out of Elspeth of Old Hempathy, and I love it. And I put so much time into it, but I will never ever wear this again as a skirt. Because number one, I made it quite full because I wanted it to be poofy, because I made that petticoat, like the poofy slip for underneath it, and that made it stand out, and it was great, and that's exactly how I wanted it to look. But on a regular basis, I am not going to wear a puffy, frilly tulle slip underneath this. Not my daily style. But I want to be able to use it for something, and so I have been thinking, like, what can I do with it? How can I modify this? And my first thought was to, like cut off this part and somehow do something with the lace part and turn it into a shawl or a wrap. But I'm not exactly sold on that either, because a wrap out of hempathy doesn't excite me. But then I had the idea the other day that I could turn this into like a long lacy tunic. And that would be quite easy. Because honestly, if I put this on and have the elastic part right here at my armpits over my boobs, it kind of looks like a tube top with a long lacy body. It's a little too long as it is. I would definitely have to remove a lot of this, because I don't think I could just... I don't know how I would do this. It's wide. It's much wider than I need it to be. So something has to be gathered or something somewhere. But I don't want it to be like elastic gathered. It needs to be knit in a way like, okay, here's my thought. I'm not enunciating this very well. I think what I want to do is I want to pick up stitches. I should also add, I've got a lot of this yarn left over that I did not use for the skirt. So I have yarn to work with. So salvaging yarn is not an issue. Excuse me. So I think what I want to do is I'm going to pick up a row of stitches on a long needle, maybe a half an inch above that first lace motif, like right here. And I'm going to put that on a needle, and then I can cut off this top part. So it'll be on needles, cut it off, it'll be ready to go. And then I will pick up and I will start knitting with other yarn, but I'll be knitting up because this was knit down. But I'll be knitting up, and I don't think that will be too unsightly. I think it'll be okay. I will work my way up, and I will do some decrease rounds to bring it in so that it's a better width. And I don't know how best to show you what I'm thinking because I'm not at the right elevation. But I would want the lace part to be like right under my bust line. Down here where I have it now. Can I show you this? I don't know. Let's see. So, like, I can't. Oh, okay. So, like here. Okay, here. Imagine this. Like, so if this was here, okay? So the lace skirt part would be the part that would be the long tunicky part. There's no way I can show you this in full. Yeah. But that brings the bottom of the skirt to, I don't know, about 4 inches above my knees. It's a little bit below mid-thigh. That seems really long even for a tunic. And it's not like I could ever wear it just as like a short dress, because first of all, not my look also. And it would have to have something under it. I mean, either way, it's going to have, I'm going to have to wear a camisole or something, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that. Or a tank top or something. I don't know what to do, because I feel like if I start the knitted part up above my bust line, that's going to look a little funny, I think. I mean, I could do it like right, like here's the fullest part of my bust line. I could do it up here and then have this part knitted, but then that's almost starting the knitted part like an inch away from my underarm, like the top of my underarm. I don't know. My thought is just to do something simple where this would be all knitted up here, a tank toppy. I don't want sleeves. I want it to be like a tank top kind of formation with wider straps, not spaghetti strap tank top. You know, like this, scoop neck. That's all I want. So if you have any thoughts, I know that that was probably really hard to follow because I can't show you this in, you know, like the total full body look, but hopefully you got an idea of what I was talking about. I just don't want all this knitting and all this work to go to waste, you know? I put a lot of time into that and I would love to be able to wear it in some way, shape, or form. So anyway, that's a future project that I'm kind of thinking about. So we'll see where that goes. But if you have any ideas as to how you think I could modify this into a lacy top without butchering it. I mean, that's the other thing. What did I drop now? Oh, I don't know. I don't feel like I'm at risk of really, really ruining it because even if I cut that bit off at the top and then it doesn't work out, the lace is still all intact. I just want to preserve the lace. So, because even if this idea doesn't work out, I may come up with another idea and then the lace will still be intact and I'll be able to use it. I don't want to mess the lace part up. That's my biggest thing. So, we'll see. I mean, I could turn it into curtains. Quite honestly. I don't want to, but it would make a curtain, I guess. I don't know. It's an idea. My hair is doing wonderful things now that I was out in that breeze and humidity. I'm getting a haircut today. I haven't had a haircut in 3 months. Getting a haircut today. I'm so excited. What did I... Oh, I dropped this. Okay. Hold on. Because it's something that I need to talk about later, so I'm going to pick it up. Okay. Here I am again. Where are we? We are... Oh, spinning. I did some spinning. I'm still spinning on my drop spindle. I didn't bring it in to show you because it's still the Kiviet. It's still brown and it doesn't look much different than it did last time, just more on it. I actually need to take that cop off of that spindle so that I can use it for the next batch because it's getting a little heavy. But yeah, and I did spin. I took my little Subterranean Woodworks tiny little Turkish spindle with me on Sunday at the show. But I found that actually spinning on a Turkish at a show is not the best thing because... You know, a regular spindle, you spin, you have your single, and if somebody comes in and you need to deal with them, you can just wind it on real fast, and you're done. But a Turkish, you have to do that kind of more fancy winding where you go like over 2, under 1, over 2, and it takes longer, especially if you want it to look pretty, and I do. And so I didn't do very much on it. I'm not showing you that either, just telling you. Okay, but here is a bobbin of BFL that I have been spinning on my Traveler. And this is the Keegan Lane Yarns fiber that I started quite a while ago. You might remember this. So I started this, and originally I was going to spin this while holding another fiber from Unwind Yarn Company along with it, which was a BFL silk. And they were complementary colors, and I thought that could look really cool. Unfortunately, that did not work out well because the BFL silk did not want to draft the same way as the BFL. And it kept getting to the point where I was either drafting the BFL or the BFL silk, and it wasn't drafting together and blending the way I had envisioned it. So I stopped using the BFL silk. That's still here. I'm not working with it. So this is the original BFL. This is a gradient. You can't really see it, but, well, let's see. Is there a spot where you can kind of see? No, you can't. The first segment of the gradient was like a really pretty orangish gold color. And then it went into this blue, which then went into this green. And so ordinarily when I'm spinning a gradient, I would spin it straight down the colors and then chain ply it to maintain those color segments, which is sort of what I had in mind to do, I think, but it didn't work out quite that way. I pulled off the gold section and I stripped it down and I spun that. But it had a little bit of the green in it. And then when I got to the green, it still had a little bit of the gold in it. So the greens, or the blue section, I'm sorry. So the blue section, you know, oh, the indigo buntings are out there. Oh, I wish I could show you, but I can't. Because I don't want to make you motion sickness. I have a little video clip of them out there the other day, though. I will put that in at the end of the video. I have some bird clips I'll put in. Oh, and there's a cardinal, too, a male cardinal. I am just in awe of how many birds we get out here. Like, right so close to the house. Because literally, it's like 6 feet away from our kitchen window. It's less than that to this door in here. And they just come. Tons of birds. Tons of types of birds. It's amazing. I'm loving this so much. Sorry. I know you're getting tired of hearing me talk about birds. Anyway, I did spin the 3 different segments separately, but there was a lot of overlap in them, and since I wasn't spinning them straight down, I was actually segmenting them, like stripping them down into sections. It's going to be mixed up, is basically what I'm saying, and I don't care, because my original plan was still to like spin this and then spin that BFL silk, and then ply them together, but that's not what I'm going to do. I am just going to do the chain plying with this, and so it will be sort of a gradient, but not, it'll be a messy gradient is basically what it'll end up being, which is fine too. I'm good with that. But that's that, and it was a 4-ounce braid. I was not going to be able to get the whole 4 ounces on that one braid, so I still have this much of the green. And see, you can see how, like, there was still blue here, and it's kind of even in through there. So it's not really a big deal how I spun it. It'll be sort of gradient-ish, I guess. But this is what I have left of it, so I'm going to spin this on another bobbin, and then I will start chain plying from this one and then go into that one, and it'll be fine. What else? Knit-alongs! Let's move to knit-alongs. It's still the everybody else's knit-along, so again, please post whatever you're doing in the one thread we have, Finished Objects Chatter. Somebody mentioned that they aren't super savvy with doing links, and in the instructions or the guidelines for that knit-along, I said, please link to whatever. If you can't link it and you don't know how to do hot links, don't worry about it. It's not super complicated, but if you're not a techie person and you don't want to do all that, that's fine. Just please make sure you write the name of the group or the podcast group, whether it's a podcast or just some other group that is hosting the knit-along that your item is from, so that I can go find it if I need to in order to verify, because that's all I'm going to use it for. But it's also nice so that other people know where the knit-along is in case they would also like to do something for it. Those were the reasons that I wanted that in there. But it doesn't have to actually literally be linked if you don't know how to do that. That's fine. Just the name of the pattern and what knit-along it's for and in what group. That's adequate. And pictures. We like to see pictures. So that's going on. I haven't really thought a lot about what I'm doing. I mean, like several people have mentioned, if you're doing socks, they probably go into about 500 different knit-alongs because everybody's got sock knit-alongs, it seems. There's always the box of socks Cal that Kristen from Yarngasm does, and there's a bunch of other ones, so, you'll find one. But I realized, this was the other thing I was going to tell you about that Ataluma scarf. When I started that, there were 0 projects listed for it in Ravelry, which is odd because usually there's at least one, and that's usually the sample one. I don't know why the designer did not link that project to the pattern page. But there were 0 projects for it, and currently, the last I looked, I'm the only one that does have a project page up for it. So it actually fits in with the Yarn Hoarders Unsung Heroes, I think is what it's called, knit-along, which is patterns that have fewer than, I want to say 20. That could totally be me making that up, though. A low number of projects for that pattern. So check the Yarn Hoarder group and see what that actually is if you want to do that. If you're doing a pattern that has very few projects knit from it, it might qualify for that. So technically, my Ataluma would definitely qualify for that. I do not tend to officially join knit-alongs. I don't know why, I just don't. So I don't know that I will join that one officially, but it's there, It qualifies. So I'm sort of doing our knit-along, because sometimes I'm really bad at even doing the knit-alongs we're doing. But anyway, have fun with it. It's meant to be a low-stress knit-along for us, because there's so many other knit-alongs going on, you just get to piggyback. Okay, new things. I do have some new things to show you, and then that's kind of going to jump into something else I want to talk about right after that, but I'll show you my couple of new things that I want to show you first. Like I said, I was at this show, I vended at this show, and I did not buy any yarn. I bought a fleece. But moving on, We're not going to talk about that right now. There were a couple of other non-yarn things that I wanted to get. And like I told you, I got a mug. And then I bought a couple of other things that were gifts, like they're things for gifts. I bought a pair of alpaca socks for my daughter because she really likes alpacas. And I don't know, a couple of other things. But anyway, the one thing that I bought for me that was a huge splurge, the fleece was not a huge splurge. It was fairly inexpensive. So it's just ridiculous that I now have another fleece. But again, we're not talking about that. It's Shetland. It's really pretty. Okay. What I bought myself. I've seen these for years. Like my whole adult life, I remember seeing these and I've wanted one so badly. Not necessarily this style, but I've wanted one, and it's this. It's a shaker box. The shaker style. I love shaker style things. The woodwork, like shaker style furniture. I love it because it's very simple, very clean lines, not overly decorative. That makes me so happy. That is my style. I love that. And so Aisling Yarns, which was the yarn vendor that was at the show, they are from, I believe they're from the other end of Pennsylvania. They are the exclusive distributors of these particular shaker boxes that are made by, let me get the, Steve Strauss, who's in Belafonte, PA, and that's like central PA. Anyway, they're the only ones that distribute these boxes, and so they bring them to shows. And it's from Strauss Woodworking. They're beautiful, and they had quite a variety. The style that I got is called a sewing box. I will probably not use it as a sewing box because I already have a couple of sewing boxes, but I'll probably use it for knitting related things. We'll see. Right now I'm just going to look at it because it's so beautiful and rub my hand over it because it's so smooth. So here's the box. The handle does go down, and then you've got the lid. And then there is this beautiful tray in the top, and it sits down on those little stopper things there, and then it's just empty in the bottom, so you can put other stuff in the bottom. They had other ones of these that had pegs that you could put spools, thread spools in. I didn't need that. So I just got this one, and it's lovely. They are all made out of, I'm going to read you some stuff from this just because I love this. Okay, so there's care instructions in this little tag, but it also says, the maker says, my desire is to make very functional pieces, which are also a display of the beautiful hardwoods found here in central Pennsylvania. Shaker boxes are made, all of his boxes are made from locally salvaged hardwoods. And then he describes how these particular how they're made. But this one was made from cherry, and on the back of the tags, each box had an explanation specific to the wood that it was made out of. And this one is cherry. I love cherry. And this says, the wood was salvaged from several trees that blew down in an early spring storm here in Center County, just outside of Stormstown, which is sort of ironic. The even grain of the wood makes it nice to work with and also finishes well. Cherry pieces will darken considerably over time. There were boxes there of several different types of wood. I love that they're made from salvaged wood, like trees that naturally came down or that were taken down because of disease or something like that. I just think that's awesome. This was called number 6 sewing box. So he numbers his boxes, and on the bottom, it's also on the bottom. I can't tell if that's, it may be wood burned. I can't know if it's wood burned or just signed with a pen. I kind of feel like it might be wood burned, but he's got his name, the year it was made, and then the number. So this one was made in 2015. So maybe it is just a marker. Either way, it's lovely, and I'm so happy to have this. It's something I've wanted for a really long time. And I'm glad I finally have one. So, yay. That was my big purchase. and that was it. The fleece was minor, honestly, financially wise anyway. So that's it. But going into, it's sort of going to be related to new things, is this summer. I want to talk a little bit about summer because it's coming. We're almost at June. And if you remember last year and in other years, I've participated in Stash Dash, which is something that the knit girls do every year. And it's always fun. I like doing it. It really motivates me. I usually get tons of projects finished that were already on the needles. And I use up a lot of stash, which is the whole point. However, I am highly competitive with myself, and I drive myself to get this stuff done. And this year, that feels super stressful to me. And since my life is now winding down from what was a very, very busy and stressful first half of the year, mostly with all of the house stuff that got piled on really quickly on top of an already busy show schedule, I am not looking for a summer of high stress and of putting that on myself. I don't need that. I want to be able to enjoy my summer. So I am not going to be doing Stash Dash this year. So this year though, what I do want to do is basically I'm calling it the summer of me, which sounds really, really self-centered, but I guess it kind of is. Life will be a little slower. I still have a couple shows to get through, but that's okay. They're spaced out more, and I will still be working, obviously, in the shop. But the house stuff will be over because my closing is on Friday, 2 days from now. So my house will be done. I will not have that, and I can move on. And I'm really looking forward to it. So I know a lot of people did their top 8 for 8 or 12 or 9. I don't remember. Everybody, or 18 for 2018. Your make 9, like people did that. I did not do that at the beginning of the year, but I have a list of 8 for the summer of 18, and there are the 8 things that I would like to focus on, and they're not specific like line item items. They're just things I want to get done and be able to work on this summer. Not even get done, just the things I want to focus on for myself this summer. And they include, number 1, organizing and unpacking. I guess unpacking and then organizing all this stuff that's out here in the living room in boxes and out here in the shed in boxes. That's going to be an ongoing project. I don't feel stressed about it right now. I don't want to feel stressed about it. That's something I'm going to work on throughout the summer. The second thing is to begin processing all these fleeces. I did stop and I made a list this morning. I have the equivalent of 6 fleeces. I have 5 full fleeces and then those 3 partial fleeces that I bought at Maryland this year. I will not get through all of them this summer, I am quite sure, and that's not even a goal, but I do want to start the process because I have the feeling that once I start the process of scouring the fleeces and, going through them and starting to card them, I think it's going to be much easier than I'm anticipating it because I feel like it's very overwhelming right now, but I think it's kind of like the brioche, it's more in my head than anything else. So I'm looking forward to starting that process and enjoying it. I would like to start sewing clothes for myself. I do not have, again, any vision of ever having a wholly handmade wardrobe or even a mostly handmade wardrobe. But I am at a point where a lot of my clothes that I really like are just worn because I've worn them to death. Like t-shirts and tank tops and things like that. And I hate shopping because 1, it takes time, and I don't have time. 2, living up here, I'm not close to most of the places that I enjoy shopping. And 3, fit is always an issue. It's always been an issue, and I hate struggling with that. And so I really would like to sew some of my own clothes. And to that end, I purchased this book, and I don't remember who recommended this. I know I heard about it. Did I hear about it? I feel like I heard about this on a podcast, but I don't remember from whom. It's called Design It Yourself Clothes, Pattern Making Simplified by Cal Patch. And I have actually started reading this book. Like, it's not just sitting here. I've been reading it. And it talks about the whole process of, taking your measurements and what you need and the things to do. And I'll tell you what, the patterns that are in this book, even though the way they are in this book, like some of them are like, I don't think I would wear that, but the whole point of this book is to be able to customize stuff for yourself in ways that you would wear the things. And there are a lot of patterns in here, both for shirts and skirts and pants, that I can totally see myself wearing. So I am really looking forward to diving into this book and using it to build myself a bit of a wardrobe and have fun with it. I would really just like to enjoy sewing. I've never sewn a lot of garments. I've always been more of a housewares kind of sewer, like not curtains, but valances, pillows. I've done a little bit of quilting. I did that tree skirt, that I showed you a couple years ago. I've done that kind of stuff, but I've never really sewn a lot of clothing. I did make several pieces of maternity wear when I was pregnant the first time, way a long time ago. My oldest is 32 now, so that tells you how long ago. But that's about it. I mean, I've made clothes here and there. They never fit well, but again, I don't understand patterns and making things fit, because most patterns are written, to some, just like knitwear patterns, there's like, here's the formula that all designers are supposed to follow as far as grading patterns, and it doesn't fit everybody. In fact, I don't think it fits anybody perfectly. But anyway, so I am looking forward to doing that. So sewing is number 3 on my list. Number 4, I'm going to assemble my loom and I'm going to start weaving. Something. I'm going to weave something, but I'm going to do some weaving this summer. And I'm going to stop worrying about doing it correctly. I think that's my biggest thing. Again, I let myself think it's going to be big and overwhelming and it has to be perfect, and it does not have to be perfect. It doesn't. I've got plenty of yarn that I can play with, and if it doesn't turn out great, it's okay. It'll either be useful or it'll be given to the cats to lay on. It doesn't matter. Either way, it's still useful, right? I'm trying to let go of this need to do things perfectly the first time because it's silly. All right, number 5, I would like to foray into natural dyeing. I told you whenever we were at Maryland, I bought a whole bunch of natural dye stuffs. If you follow me on Instagram, you may have seen my posts. I did, or post, I guess, one day where I tried to do some botanical dyeing on sock blanks. And I will say I tried because it was a colossal failure. The picture of all the pretty flowers and leaves and stuff on the sock blanks, that looked lovely. But that was as far as it went, because when it was done, I unrolled it and there was hardly anything on there. So even though I knew the very, very basics, I didn't do it very well. And that's fine. See, I was fine with it not being perfect first time out. However, to the end of learning how to do natural dyeing, and again, let me stress, this is not something I'm planning to do in any major way that will ever go in my shop. I may do it for my shop someday, but that's not why I want to do it now. I want to do it for my own edification and learning and something new for me to play with. I bought this book. It's called Wild Color. It's the revised and updated edition by Jenny Dean. I've seen this book recommended a lot of times, and it seems to be fairly comprehensive. So I'm going to start here, and I'm going to read and hopefully figure out how to do some natural dyeing this summer. We'll see. And like as I'm working with these fleeces, and once I get things spun up, I may actually try doing some natural dyeing on stuff that I've spun from a fleece. That would be pretty cool too, I think. So we'll see where that goes. So that was number 5. Number 6, I need to start getting out on my bike, my bicycle, and my kayak. Once I can actually get it out of that building, because it's sort of trapped where it's at right now. The weather's starting to get nice again, and I just need to be outside. Monday, I spent a bunch of hours outside in the afternoon. It felt wonderful. I love being outside in the nice weather, so I want to get outside and be moving more. Yeah, I need to get back to that. It's healthy for me and my body and my mind, and I need that. Number 7, I wrote pot garden. I'm not starting to grow pot, okay? Like, we're not talking about marijuana legalization stuff here. No, I meant like vegetables in pots as opposed to like a raised bed garden or a legit plowed up garden. That's all I mean. I want to have some fresh veggies this summer, but I do not have the energy or capacity to deal with a full-on garden. We do have plans to do that in a future year, but not this year. So there's a area right in on this side of the shed out here that is level. It's about 3 or 4 foot deep, out from the side of the shed to the edge of the little hill from where we had to build up the ground to put the shed there. And it's the perfect width to put some pots. And this is the side that also gets most of the sun because it's kind of open right here. So it'll be the perfect place to do a pot garden. Not a garden, a pot. Gosh, I have to not say that. Somebody's going to like report me somewhere. YouTube will take my thing down. I don't know. Plants in pots, tomatoes, herbs, maybe some flowers. Because I would like to be able to do some flowers also that I could use with wild dyeing, with botanical dyeing. We'll see how that goes. That's my plan. I would like to work on that. All I have to do is work on keeping myself in check to not have 500 pots out there. Pots of plants. And number 8 is just to take some me time. Like they have Parents' Day out and Mother's Day out. I need some me time out. Again, it's just been chaotic and busy for especially the first half of this year, but really the last couple of years have been that way. I want to be able to ride my motorcycle. Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah, that's a whole other story. Get out and just get on my bike and ride and have fun. Again, since I've been out several times now, I'm getting way more comfortable with it again. I feel like that's a new thing every spring after I've sat all winter and not ridden. Do that. I want to just go to things. There's, I'm up in this area now that I like, but I haven't had a chance to really explore. And so I could take the bike out. There's a lot of historical areas around here. I'd just like to go and explore them. It doesn't even have to be like a whole day thing, just like a couple of hours here and there. I want to do that. I just want to explore my area, my new home area. Head out. There's a yarn shop not too far from me. I want to be able to go visit it occasionally. There's a couple yarn shops. I want to have some time for me, some downtime. Because I do spend a lot of time working. Heaven knows there's still a lot of work to do. But I need to just kick back. And the other thing is, like, on the weekends, that's usually when people relax. But that's never when I get to relax. Because that means my husband's home on the weekends. And he's not a relax at home kind of guy. It's Saturday and Sunday. We've got time. Let's work. And I've come to peace with that. And it's like, okay, I'll work with you on the weekends. But that means come Monday or Friday, I'm going to take a day off. Even if I don't take the whole day off, I'm going to take some time off for me, since I don't get my weekends usually. Unless we're like on vacation or something, but yeah. You work with what you've got, and that's how things go for me, and that's fine. So, that's going to be my summer of me. We'll see how it goes. I'll keep you posted, but I'm looking forward to it. I think that's everything I was going to tell you. 10%, like I said, the closing is on Friday, so 2 days from now I will no longer own a home. And I'm okay with that too. I'm going back to it one more time later today. I need to do just a couple last minute things, and then I don't think I'm going to go back. I don't have a need to, and I think I'll be ready to not go back. We have our motorcycle training weekend this weekend, which we will be leaving for Friday late afternoon, early evening to drive down to Morgantown, which is the kicking off spot for the training tour. So that's happening. I have been riding, like I said. Things are going quite well. I'm enjoying it. I have not fallen over yet this year. Matter of fact, I came into the driveway from the side I hate coming into. I came in last night that way. Oh my gosh. I think I've maybe figured the trick out to doing that without freaking out, so that's good. On motorcycle news, my husband sent me a link on eBay yesterday. He's like, hey, look at this bike and tell me what you think. Actually, I don't even think he said bike. He said, like, look at this and tell me what you think. Or if you like it or something. And it was a link to a motorcycle that was being sold not far from here. And I'm like, why do we need to look at motorcycles? And he's like, well, I think this would be a good bike for you. And I'm like, I have a bike. I've got a bike and I've got a scooter. Remember, you bought them for me last year and I hardly have time to ride the ones I have. He's like, yeah, but you hardly ever ride the scooter because I don't think you like it. And he's not completely wrong. It's a perfectly fine functional bike. I'm just not a scooter person. I enjoy riding a motorcycle that you have to switch gears, do all the manual shifting. That's what I like. The scooter is not a challenge for me, and I like the challenge of riding a motorcycle. And so he's like, and this bike would be super comfortable, and this is a much better choice for you to ride across the country on our vacation this year. So long story short, we ended up going and looking at it last night. I did not test drive it because I am not confident enough to get on a new bike and just test drive it around without wrecking it. So he did, and he said it's great. It's a good size for me. It's like a mid-size touring bike. It's a Honda NT700V, if that means anything to anyone. I guess they were only sold in the United States for a very short period of time because they're not the kind of bike that Americans tend to like for touring bikes. They were kind of a flop here, so like all of the ones that are in the United States are 2010 models. But they were huge in Europe because Europeans love these kind of bikes. This would not be my choice of bike, but it is a good bike. And so we ended up buying it. So we're going to be getting rid of the scooter, which I feel bad because he bought it because he thought I would like it. And it's okay, but it doesn't excite me. So I now will have a nice, trail bike that's a road bike. Also, which is the BMW that I have. And then I'll have this bike, which will be nicer. Now, I will say it's a little bigger and it's heavier, and I'm a little intimidated by it, but I've been doing this enough now with him to know that every time he steps me up in the size of a bike, I feel this way, and then once I get out on it and have time to practice, I'm okay. So I feel confident that I'll be okay, and I feel like that's a really big step to have taken, to not feel totally overwhelmed by this bike. So we'll see how that goes. It's silver, and I've named it Pepper already, like Pepper Potts from Iron Man. As opposed to my BMW that is yellow, and I've named it Buttercup from The Princess Bride. Shop news. Let's move on to shop news. First of all, my next vending will be at the Frederick Fiber Fest, which will be the first weekend in June 2nd and 3rd. That will be in Frederick, Maryland at the Frederick Fairgrounds. So I hope to see you there. I practiced putting my Easy Up tent up because this is an outdoor vending thing for me. I've never done one of those before. I did post pictures on the Fiber Nymph Dye Works Instagram account after I had it up because I did it by myself. All the instructions are like, you and your partner, or with a partner. It's like, oh no, I have to know I can do this myself. And I did. Got it up, put it down by myself. Not easy, but I did it. So yeah, that's coming up on June 2nd and 3rd. Somebody did ask about when I will have my show stock, like my leftovers in the shop. And because I'm doing such a succession of shows, I've got this one in June yet. I've still got one coming up in July. I may have another one coming up in August. And then I won't have anything until fall. I'm really not putting all of my show stock up in the shop like I used to when I only had a few shows here and there. I will, though, be rotating stock in, like some stock out and other new stuff into the show stock. So I will be putting that in the shop over time. Just not all in one big lump like I used to. But after the show in June, I will be starting to dye more regularly, specifically for the shop, so there won't just be leftovers in there. So There are still some things in the shop, though, from the last update I did, as well as the Mountain House Spring pre-orders are still up, and as I said, I'll leave those up through definitely through the end of May. I may take them down that first week of June sometime. The Summer Shenanigans Mini Sets Club sign-ups are still open. The full club memberships are still available in the shop, and those will also be open through that first week of June. What else? Oh, okay. Needles Up Rhinebeck. I teased you about this at the beginning of the show. So Needles Up Rhinebeck will be taking place the day prior to Rhinebeck. I'm sorry I don't have that date on here. But if you've done the Needles Up events before or you've heard about them, they always sell VIP tickets so that you have if you purchase the VIP ticket, which I believe is $5, you get to get in an hour earlier and shop without there being a huge crowd there. So they're going to be doing the VIP tickets again, and those are going to go on sale on June 16th. So if you would like to get a VIP ticket for Needles Up at Rhinebeck, check the Needles Up website, which is needlesup.com, I believe, and then click on the Rhinebeck page, and that is where they will list the information about those going on sale, or follow them on Instagram, Legacy Fiber Arts. They will have that information. But they're doing something different this time, and they're giving each of the vendors, I believe, a couple of VIP tickets to give away as they see fit. So I'm going to do a drawing, and you will be able to win, possibly, one of 2 VIP tickets to Needles Up Rhinebeck before you would be able to buy them. So, this is Wednesday. This podcast is not going to go up before tomorrow at the earliest, possibly not till Friday. But by the time this is up, I will have a thread in the Fiber Nymph Dye Works group. This is not going to be in the 90% knitting group. It's going to be in the Fiber Nymph Dye Works group on Ravelry. There will be a thread, a drawing thread, for you to enter to win one of the 2 VIP tickets that I have to give away for Needles Up Rhinebeck. So please check that thread and enter if you would like to win one of those tickets. That would be awesome. Also, you can follow my Fiber Nymph Dye Works Instagram, and I will post about it in there as well when that thread is open. And I will leave that up for at least 2 weeks. So 2 podcasts after this one is when I will do that drawing. So I don't know if that'll work out to be exactly 2 weeks, but I will announce the winners 2 podcasts from now. So that would be episode 284, I think, 284. Oh, that is not our cat. That's the neighbor's cat. And he's fighting with our one cat. Our one cat is all beat up, which is not nice. Okay. Other than that, we've still got the conversion rewards program going on through this year. So check that thread out also in Ravelry, and keep submitting your grams to earn new yarn. All right, that's everything I've got for you. This is super long. Oh my gosh, this segment is almost an hour, and I already had another segment that was probably like a half hour. I may have to do some heavy editing on this episode. But anyway, thanks for watching, and I will talk to you hopefully sometime next week. Bye.